It is time to leave your worries outside and laugh with us inside the Treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trendholm. Coming up inside the Treehouse today, a tiny wiener update. Ooh, very exciting. It's
Is
just
that your blog?
mother. No, this is despite the size. This is a story we just can't let go of. It's the continuing journey about Michael Phillips, the man who has the tiniest weenie on earth. And this story just seems to be a classic tale of humanity where it's something good happens and then something worse happens to this man.
I have all sorts of questions about that guy, and
Yeah.
Who America, despite everything, America is a very giving place, and but the fact people donated to his GoFundMe, it's like there's better things to do with your money, people.
The thing that surprised me the most about that is the fact that he didn't pull in six figures. I mean, if there's ever a good cause that you talk about someone being just absolutely afflicted with something that they can't help, I figured more money would come his way. But good thing he's used to shortcomings. So that's coming up today. Also, homeless people doing homelessy stuff, of course, and to split or not to split. That's all coming up today inside the Treehouse. And if you love what you hear here today, then do us a favor and share it with a friend. Hit that share button from your favorite listening platform, Spotify, iHeart even, and send that to a buddy, a coworker, someone that's got something so small in their life, there's nothing left but tears. Maybe they could use a chuckle. Send them the show. And together we can grow the Treehouse Show. Let's start today with to split or not to split. Trey?
So I recently had an experience. As everyone knows, or for those new, I am a recovering alcoholic. I don't drink. Have been so. This is a just mind-blowing thing of next Monday it'll be a decade.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that one.
That's basically a fifth. Wait, 20% of your life has now been alcohol free. Well, yes. I guess in your early your early days, like when you were like a toddler, and I can't say teenager probably, but let's say a quarter of your life has been alcohol free. Oh, you're going to do the math, aren't you?
No, that's too. That being said, so go out to dinner, whatever. I don't drink. So I had an experience where I went to a birthday dinner, and which I'm normally fine with, but at a certain point, if I know the players involved, I am not one, and Dan, you can testify this. I am not cheap. I am not someone who's, going to pull anything, but also I'm not going to piss away my money paying for everyone else's drinking. So I went to a birthday party. I knew the players involved, and I had a feeling bottles of wines are going to be ordered and everything else. So as I have done for a while, I discreetly pulled the waiter aside, server, and I go, listen, I need you to keep me on a separate check. So that way, like, I'm more than happy to pay. I'm more than happy to contribute to the birthday person's festivities. But what I'm not willing to do is pay, and now if everyone was just going to have a drink or whatever, yeah, okay, I'm not going to really split hairs. But I knew this group, and by the time it's all said and done, they've spent over $1,000 on wine and drinks and everything else. Because there are some players involved that have done very well in their life. So it comes time to split up the bill, and then you're like, well, hey, everyone, we'll just divide it up by 10. I'm like, no. I go, I kept my check separate. I go, so I'm going to take care of that. And I go, here is some money to cover the birthday person's bill.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, come on. They're like, don't be that way. Just make it easy. I go, it's perfectly easy to go divide by 9 instead of 10. I go, just because, I mean, if you need to bust out a calculator, knock yourself out. But no, I go, I am not paying. Y'all all, you had like 4 bottles of wine.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, partake in any of that, and I don't feel I need to pay for it. A couple of the people who I know me better than others were okay, fine. Other kept giving me dirty looks like I was being the party pooper because they were having to pay more. And I'm like, man, why would I pay for y'all's excessive drinking? I mean, I appreciate it. If over 10 years ago, hey, I would have been right there with you. But
maybe doing laps around you.
Yeah. The fact that, and like I said, excessive ordering, everything else, which is fine. Like I said, I tip my server very well, like about a 40% tip. Paid for mine, threw in some cash for, I specifically brought cash. So I knew I could go, hey, there's my portion to cover the birthday person's meal and their night.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like, and I mean, and especially 10 years into this, I don't feel bad at all, but I found it funny that some people thought I was being cheap or a pain in the ass because I wasn't going to pay for everyone's drinking. And it's not like I made it difficult. Like I said, I had my check separate. And, I mean, my check was a quarter of what they ended up divvying up. I mean, it's amazing how much money you save when you don't drink and you go out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there was another night I went to Javier's, which you've been there, this fantastic Mexican place in Dallas, like Mexico City food.
Love it.
And it had been my first time. This was actually a couple of years ago. My first time at Javier's post sobriety or post drinking, whatever. And I was shocked because I was on a date.
Oh yeah.
We had an appetizer, entrees, and I think the check was like $90. I was like, wait, how'd this happen? Like, oh yeah.
Javier's is one of the best restaurants in Dallas, and it's super reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, it's not that bad. Oh, that's right, because I'm not knocking back $15 margaritas.
Yeah, that helps. That's without a doubt. I am always fascinated by these split the check scenarios, and yours has an additional layer to it, right? Because your story, your situation on this split the check birthday scenario is already complicated because you've got different socioeconomic factors, right? You've got some people that have done really well for themselves. And then you've got other people that, don't have that same amount of money, right? And then you may even have some people at the table that have even less than that. So it really complicates it just from a financial standpoint.
I assure you, I was the poorest person at the table.
I was trying to be delicate about it, but I kind of figured.
You don't need to be.
Partly because you spent so much on drinking over your life. So, yeah, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I ruined myself financially and professionally being an alcoholic.
And you also have a number of friends in various walks of life. And so at your table, you probably had 3 different levels of financial situations. You probably had people that are millionaires. You probably had some people that are just, comfy. And then there's you, it's not like you're holding up a cardboard sign that says, we'll work for food or anything. But I mean, you're not, forget the alcohol thing just for a moment. You're not going to be throwing back the stuff that they're doing just from a financial standpoint. Even if you were drinking, I don't know if you're going to be ordering, a $500 bottle of wine.
No.
So that's one aspect, which that can get complicated enough when you're in a friends group setting and you're out. Because even as someone who drinks, I don't want to pay for someone's $150 bottle of wine that they ordered and I'm not going to drink. Like if I'm having if I'm having what I'm having and I have two of those, let's say I get two top shelf martinis, they're $15-$16. Okay, that's $30 that I've spent, and you are buying a $150 bottle of wine. I'm not splitting that check with you. And then your situation is that additional layer of you don't drink at all, so you're really not going to split that check. And I don't blame you. I'll tell you right now, if you, me, and my wife went out to eat, let's say to Javier's, and obviously she and I are going to have a margarita or two, you're not, I'm not going to expect you to split that bill evenly. You know why? Because I think about these things and I'm considerate. I think about other people as opposed to just myself and my,
like I said,
boozy self.
if it had been just everyone had a round of drinks, I would have just said fine, and just said, yeah, here, I'll pay whatever, divide it by 10 here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to quibble over what ends up being $15-$20. I am going to quibble over what's going to be a couple $100.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. And that's the thing that bugs me about this situation is, like you said, you had some people that are like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then you had other people that are shooting you the dirty looks from across the table like you're some sort of a problem when they don't realize that they are the problem.
Well, so listen, there are people that I quit going to dinner with because they would sit there, they would take a check and then like bust out the calculator and oh, well, I didn't really have any of that appetizer, so I'm not going to. It ain't like that. I'm not cheap. Like I hate cheap people.
Mm-hmm.
If I go out to dinner with somebody and they want to divide up the check like that and then they tip like crap, I will not go to dinner with them. That's not the case. The case is I just don't feel compelled to drink, to pay for your excessive drinking. And especially when, like I said, you're talking about, they easily had $1,000 worth of alcohol, which is a nice place. And like I said, 10 people, is that really that much? No, but I'm not going to pay an extra $100 just, to make their life easier or feel it. And I am at an age now where it's like, I have come to grips with my shortcomings as far as my professional and my status in life. So I don't feel compelled to big time it and, go, oh, well, yeah, okay, I'll do that too. No, especially a couple of them, like, you pick this up, you've got no problem. But the funny thing about rich people is that they're oftentimes the cheapest.
One of the great ironies in life. They really are.
They kept their money, they got a lot of money for a reason. And part of it is they don't spend it very easily.
And they also don't like sharing it.
No,
because that is also one of the truths that happen in life is when you're poor, you're the most giving that there is. When you're poor, you're thinking, man, if I had $20 million, I would give it to this and I would do that. If I had Elon Musk money, I would do this with it. I would do that with it. But it's interesting. Once you start making more money, then all of a sudden you're like, man, this is nice. I'm going to hang on to this as long as I can, especially if you think it may not last. So yeah, the whole money situation is a big enough wrinkle. Then throwing on top of it that, they're drinking a lot and you're just sitting over in the corner not drinking. So it's a completely new layer to it.
And it's not, and my unwillingness to pay for their drinking has nothing, again, to do with I'm sober and they're drinking it. It's not like a refusal to pay for alcohol or some moral thing. It's just, I didn't partake in this, so I'm not paying for it. To the tune of a couple of $100. I got better things to do with a couple $100.
Yeah, it's still a financial thing. And it's not like, as someone who's been sober for 10 years next Monday, again, congratulations. And I know this personally, it's not like you're over there looking at everyone judging. You're not over there like just shaking your head like, oh, they're ordering you really, Dan, you're getting another round. None of that ever happens. You're not being like a jerk about it. You're not, being pushy with the sobriety or anything on anybody else. So to me, you were very, very perfectly pleasant social guest. uh and it and look, and this is, I'm trying to think, gathering my thoughts here. um I've been in this scenario as well. There was one time, way back. I mean, this is back when even Trey, you and I'm not even sure if you and I had really even met yet. This would have been 2002 or 3 maybe. So my cousin Josh, who's 2 years older than I am. So he is getting married, right? This is back in the early 2000s. He's getting married. He invites me on his bachelor party trip. His bachelor party trip is happening in Austin. I'm like, cool, sounds like fun. So I go, and we're on a pontoon boat on Lake Travis for the day, and then that night we're supposed to go to dinner and then go to the Yellow Rose. We're doing it up, for an Austin bachelor party, early 2000s.
Yeah. A 20-something Austin bachelor party.
And keep in mind, in 2002, 2003, this guy's 21, 22. So, and these guys are all a couple of years older. So, I mean, yeah, we're all in our 20s. It's all going to be ugly. And I was the ugly guy not because I had so much to drink, but because I don't do well with motion sickness. So this is what happened. We go to the lake. Yes, I drink. I have some beers. But even in my early 20s, I had already built up a tolerance enough to know that I know what my limits are, and I know that there's other plans later in the day. Point is, we're on the lake all day, and I'm a little nauseous from the boat. Then we get in the car to drive back to town, and you're familiar with Lake Travis enough to know that's kind of a windy road.
Mm-hmm.
And I got real car sick real fast, so much so that I had to hang my head out the window and puke it all up. So I was not feeling good. Get back to the hotel, crash for like 4 hours, wake up, and I just feel like ass. But I have to rally because it's my cousin's bachelor party, right? So we go out to dinner to a Mexican place, and I eat, I think, I ordered some food of some kind, but it wasn't much, and I ordered no booze. I felt terrible. Meanwhile, the 12 other guys at the table are all ordering top shelf margaritas. Those guys at this point in their life, because they all went through Jesuit and, Bishop Lynch and stuff, they've all got good jobs already. I was still starting out in a radio career, so I was super poor. Like you on your birthday dinner outing the other day, when the check came, I was not about to pay for everybody's 4 and 5 top shelf margaritas each when I had a tostada. And I didn't care when that check came. I was sitting at the opposite end of the table, and this one guy was like, "Hey, Dan, where's yours? Blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, it's in there." He's like, "But we need like 60 or $70 out of you." I'm like, "No, I threw in my 12." Like, but we're splitting the check. I was like, yeah, I threw in mine and I covered my cousin's stuff. I didn't have a $16 margarita in 2002, let alone 5 of them. I'm not paying for that. Same thing as you. I got the dirty looks the rest of the night. Everyone just thought I was a cheapskate or whatever. And it's like, I don't care. And it was amazing to me that they couldn't understand. I'm not paying for something beyond what is reasonable on so many levels. And I don't understand the mentality of people that don't understand that. How do you not grasp that? You're doing the math on the check. You see on the bill, I pointed it out. I'm like, this is what I had. I had this thing right there, and that's it. Now look at all of your stuff. How does that compute in your mind?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, and that's, you go, hey, the birthday boy bachelor, he had this, here's my share of this plus mine. I've contributed. I'm not paying for your excessive drinking. And especially, and one of the things I do, even to avoid that, is I will always pull the server aside and say, hey, please put mine on a separate tab. Yeah. So I know it doesn't even get into this deal of, we're just dividing this up. Knock yourself out. I'm not on your tab.
Right.
My stuff is separate over here.
And that's a brilliant move on your part. As the person that's A, there by themselves, and B, you're not going to be having all that stuff. So it makes it really simple to tell the server, just bring me mine.
One ordeal of, exactly what you went through at a bachelor party of, oh, hey, we'll just all divide it up. No, I'm not doing that. And then it became, well, it's just, makes it so much easier for the server. I go, here, server, come here. But then after that, I'm like, you know what? I'll make it even easier. I put myself on a separate check. Y'all can all fuck off.
This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration. To get your free roof inspection and property review, call 833-COOK-DFW. That's 833-COOK-DFW. You can also get roof estimates right there on their website when you go to cookdfw.com. Also, right now, they have a ticket promotion. So Daniel Cook went out there and bought himself a pair of Cowboys tickets for Thursday night, October, I forget which date off the top of my head, but it's the game Thursday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. He went out and bought himself a pair of tickets, and he's like, you know what? I can't go. I'm going to give this to some clients. So if you get a free roof inspection done between now and like the end of September, you'll be entered into the drawing to win his tickets. If you get an estimate for any sort of work outside the house, inside the house, which are also free, you will be entered into the drawing for those Cowboys tickets for Thursday night football at AT&T Stadium. So again, there's no purchase necessary. Get you a free roof inspection, which you probably need done anyway, and you get your name thrown in the hopper for a pair of Cowboys tickets. Pretty cool deal. 833-COOK-DFW or the website cookdfw.com. All right, today is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. Let's celebrate today with some birthdays. There are some good ones today, Trey, and a lot of them. Are you ready? Buckle up for birthdays. Olympic women's rugby medalist Iona Maher is 30. Ilona Maher? Ilona Maher. I think that's it, yeah.
I know who
the one that we all sort of, I don't know necessarily fell in love with, but captivated America's attention, and all of a sudden we all knew about women's rugby, A, because they were badass, and B, because she is the badass of the badasses on that team. She is 30 today. Just running hoes over left and right.
Yeah.
And that's not a sexist thing to say, hoes. I would have said, I said that about Herschel Walker and Earl Campbell in their days. They also ran over hoes. So that I mean that as a non-gender based hoe situation.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Actually, I do, but the punchline was too easy. But no, I don't. I do, but no. Let's see. So happy birthday to her. She is 30 today. Pete Sampras from the tennis world is 55. Pete Sampras did something to me back in the 90s that I thought was impossible. He made me love tennis. Between him and Andre Agassi, I was glued to tennis for like a year. I loved it.
I loved that era of tennis. Sampras was so good, and I mean, up until Rafa came along, but he played with such finesse that it was interesting to watch. But yeah, that was a very entertaining time.
The matches between him and Andre Agassi were so much fun. I mean, Andre Agassi was a guy that was already on the scene when Pete Sampras showed up, and they couldn't have been more opposite than each other. I mean, Andre Agassi was loud and I mean, he wasn't like Jim McEnroe loud, but I mean, like he had hair and he had endorsements. He was like the rock star of tennis. And here comes Pete Sampras, who's sort of like the Kenny G, but he's just smoking everybody.
Agassi was like the bad boy of tennis when he first came out.
Yeah.
The long hair, which no one had. You know, it had been a very clean cut sport as far as the way they dress, haircut, facial hair, everything. Yeah, he was very much the rebel, as it were.
Yeah. Which is why I still remember one of his great endorsements was the Canon Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great promotion collaborations. But it was interesting. This is how much I was into tennis back in the day. I watched it so much, not just, with Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi, but I even watched some of the women's tennis with Steffi Graf because that was at the time when she was so freaking dominant. I even know that Pete Sampras was a phenomenal tennis player because he could beat you at your own game. And so he could be the guy hanging out on the baseline, just smashing winners all day. Or he could also do the serve and volley coming up to the net and play with that sort of touch and finesse. Most tennis players are only good at one or the other. He was capable of kicking your ass either way.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much I was into tennis back in the day.
Yeah, I am shocked though. I fully and maybe they're not of age yet to really, but you really would have thought if there was ever an offspring that were going to be great tennis players, it would be the Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf kids.
I remember the first thing I thought of when I heard that they hooked up, I was like, I don't know if this is for love or just for legacy. Because my God, their kids, oh, Jesus. I have no idea what their kids do. Honestly, I don't even know if they have kids.
Hang on.
I will say this, though, like even as someone that doesn't have kids, and I don't think anyone should ever be forced to have kids based on some sort of societal expectation, I do have a little bit of hypocrisy running through me when it comes to truly exceptional humans. When you've got an Andre Agassi and a Steffi Graf in a relationship, I kind of feel like they should have kids just because their genetics are so freakishly good that I want to see their offspring do stuff.
So that they had two kids and they said they did not push them to become tennis players. And I'm guessing they didn't because at this point they would be 25 and 23 years old. So
that's old by tennis standards.
Uh-huh. That does seem like a waste of genetics, though.
It does, right? It's such a hypocritical thing because, again, even I think it's great that they didn't push their kids into tennis, but I kind of wish they had.
Yeah. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I mean, that seems like a waste of talent.
Yeah. It's interesting how that happens, though, because, look, I realize that.
But I also will say this, of all sports, you read about tennis players, their lives are pretty miserable. Like, because they're generally singled out as talented in the, I would say, 7 to 9 year old range. And then that's their life because most of them, they're teetering on becoming pro mid-teens.
Yeah.
So I do understand that, and especially Steffi Graf, who was she German?
I think so.
And their training regimen, especially because part of that goes pre-democracy and going back to the Cold War. What they did to kids for, they thought were athletes was even worse than anything Americans dreamed of.
Yeah. All right, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to birthdays. George Hamilton is 87, Hollywood icon and the tanning king. Like we mentioned, the Canon Rebel camera collaboration as being phenomenal with the tennis rebel Andre Agassi. I think one of the great advertising campaign collaborations was George Hamilton and Extra Crispy Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bruce Greenwood is 70. He's an actor. You may not know him by his name, but you know him by his face. He was in Star Trek as Captain or Admiral Pike, I believe. The Resident, 13 Days, Gerald's Game. He's a guy. Yeah, you see his face and you're like, that guy. Yeah, he's been in tons of stuff.
Did you ever watch The Resident?
I did not.
Fascinating show.
Is it? He had a guest turn on Mad Men for a handful of episodes. He was really good in that.
The Resident starts. It is, and sadly, it was a very good show. And then, and I'm not saying this to be political or anything else. It's just a fact. Post-COVID, a lot of writers got very woke, and what they did, and especially in medical stuff. And the show takes a dramatic turn, and it also loses some key players because a couple of the people were like, "Hey, family's too important. I want to be close to family, not doing this crap." But it's worth a watch, especially like the first 3 seasons.
I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to the quote unquote wokeness of it. I will say, just like at certain times, I think that word gets thrown around too much. But I will say, absolutely, Hollywood at different times, and it's in a phase right now where it gets real preachy. Even if I agree with some of the stuff they say, even if I disagree with some of the stuff they say, sometimes I don't like being spoken down to.
So I'll give you the greatest example in my that I can think of. There was a show called New Amsterdam. Okay. Ryan Eggold, and it started off. It was a fantastic show.
Was this the one with Ty Labine, bearded guy from Tucker and Dale versus Evil? I think it is.
Let me. Yes, Tyler Labine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that show because I'm a huge fan of Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I love Ty Labine, but I never did.
And he starts off great, and then towards the latter part, I mean, like one of the storylines was a kid got a brain tumor because of racism, and I'm not making that up. So it went sideways real fast after post COVID.
All right then.
But it started off. I love Ryan Eggold. He was great in The Blacklist, and phenomenal show.
All right, some other birthdays. Yvette Nicole Brown, 55, best known as Shirley on Community. She's also been in tons of game show, talk show appearances. She was also the one in the elevator in Avengers Endgame with Tony Stark and Captain America. She's the one that recognizes Captain America and then rats him out to security. And she says that there was this guy in a beatnik in the elevator. She was so Community was a big one, and then she was also Dwight's coworker in the office when he worked at Staples. That's a pull for you. Peter Krause is 61, best known nowadays for his role in the TV show 911. Other people may remember him from Parenthood. I remember him first in 6 Feet Under on HBO. But he will forever in our hearts, for me and Trey, be one half of the legendary show that did not see enough light of day, Sports Night.
Yep.
Love that show.
Yeah. That show, I feel like if Robert Guillaume doesn't have a stroke, and that show maybe survives another season or two. But phenomenal show.
It was such a great show. It was Aaron Sorkin pre-West Wing, and ABC effed with that show so much. The executives just couldn't keep their hands off of it. And if you go back and watch that show, you can see it, you can hear it. It's It was a show that at one point had a laugh track because the executives thought it was too smart and therefore it needed it, so the people watching it knew where to laugh. I mean, you talk about just a classic example of media executives getting too much creative control over something and just almost ruining it. That's a
Well,
great one.
you're absolutely correct. And the other thing that made it so stupid, and it goes to one of those things that media executives do, is that when they don't really understand something, they have a tendency to really jack with it, or if they feel like they can't control it. One of the things, and this is really hard to explain now, but at the time, late 90s, this is a show based on the boom of Sports Center. Sports Center wasn't a thing even in the early 90s, but then you get Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick, Berman, I mean, all these big personalities, and Sports Center, I mean, it's nightly viewing. You are not going to miss, especially the Sunday night big show. You aren't missing that show.
Mm-mm.
And if you did, you knew it came on again at midnight and you were going to watch it then. So you already had people just fascinated by this and thinking, and they wanted to watch the show just because they felt like maybe it gave them a little insight as into what goes on behind the scenes. And yeah, they just could not help to just kept jacking with that show. But in its premise, and especially the first season, it was magical.
Yeah, such a great show. Happy birthday, Peter Krause, 61. Casey Affleck is 51. Baby brother of Ben, Academy Award winner for Manchester by the Sea. He was, yes, also in Good Will Hunting, Ocean's 11, Gone Baby Gone. Phenomenal actor in his own right. There are just some parents that you got to think they sit back and go, look at what I have created. The Affleck parents got to feel that way. The Kelsey parents got to feel that way.
I feel like the Affleck parents, I think Ben has made them. Ben's been a little bit of a roller coaster, ironically. Casey seems to be the more straight and narrow one these days.
But he even had like some
issues early on
type stuff as well. So I mean, look, they have contributed mightily to the creative industry and to Hollywood in general. So as parents, you got to think, yeah, look at what we did. And then also they got to sit back and think, and they also keep us on our toes.
Yeah. Side note, I saw a story, I think it was yesterday, that Brad Pitt announced that he was drinking again after 7 years of sobriety. And
thank you for bringing that up, because since you are on the cusp of 10 years of sobriety, I meant to bring that up at some point this week. It's such a weird thing in Hollywood now, or just in society, when on one end you say, I am no longer drinking. And now we're getting the backside of it where someone says and comes out and says, I am back to drinking now. What the hell?
You'd be amazed. It actually, your chances of sobriety decrease every year because so many people get the thought of, I can control it now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can, maybe you can't. Generally, you can't. And it's generally when people in AA, they call it when you start drinking again or using, it's called you've gone out. And it's typically a horrible experience because you don't have the same tolerances or anything else. And it gets very bad very quick. Yeah. And I found it fascinating that, especially after all the crap he's going through with his family, of all the kids, dropping his name and everything else, why would you decide that drinking is a good course of action? Especially, you've read some stories where people, found him fairly unbearable in his drinking days. So, yeah, it's a fascinating phenomenon, and it happens far more than you would think. People with, 20 plus years, all of a sudden they show back up in AA and, they're getting a desire chip, which is, like the first thing you get. It's, you want to stay sober for 24 hours. And you're like, holy crap. One of the things that keeps me sober is I didn't have the money to go to rehab or treatment or anything else. I had to do it by, taking warm vodka shots to wean myself off. But I still, I've first 45 days, I'm sweating through sheets at night, shaking. I mean, it was a miserable experience. So miserable that I never want to do it again.
You raw dogged it.
Oh yeah. I didn't have a choice.
Celebrities get like vacation retreats and things to clean up and stuff. Yeah.
My friend Amy Newman, that you know quite well, and who is responsible for my sobriety, she and I have always joked that if either one of us wins the lottery, we're going to rehab. Not because we need it, but because we feel like we got cheated on the front end of sobriety. And we want to spend 60, 90 days finding ourselves and doing yoga and eating all natural organic food and smoothies and massages and all the stuff that you get with these really nice rehabs. Like, yeah.
And you can really enjoy them on this. And you'd be able to really enjoy them because you've already got the alcohol kicked.
Oh yeah, I'm not have to go through any of the withdrawals or anything. It's just it's a 60-day spa retreat.
That sounds.
I want to find myself.
Look, you've already kicked the booze. What's wrong with also doing a little eat, pray, love for yourself for 2-3 months? Yeah, and at least yours wouldn't be court ordered. This segment of the Treehouse is brought to you by us. If you go to patreon.com/Treehouse on air, you can subscribe to Treehouse Plus, Super Plus, or Ultimate Treehouse today. And starting this week, our Ultimate Treehouse subscribers will get access to our now weekly live stream / live taping of a Treehouse episode. That happens actually on Wednesdays. That'll happen from now on. Once a week, that Thursday episode that we record on Wednesday, Ultimate Treehouse subscribers will have access to that to participate in the show in the chat room, watch us record it live, all that fun stuff. So if you would like more Treehouse in your life, subscribe today, patreon.com/Treehouse on air.
And I'll give this a tease because during that break, we talked about a story that we're going to save for tomorrow that is absolutely just. Every time when I read the story, I laughed, and you can't make this shit up. Because if it was just one, you'd go, okay, yeah, maybe, but the two,
yeah, she doubled up, baby. That is coming up tomorrow's episode, which you can be a part of as we record it if you're an Ultimate Treehouse subscriber. Patreon.com/Treehouse on air. All right, so that's tomorrow. So great tease. Thank you, Trey. Now, before we get to the Tiny Wiener update, no, Trey, that's not my new blog. We need to talk about the man in Florida, of course. A man was caught sleeping in a JetBlue plane lavatory. Now, the headline threw me off at first because I was like, what do you mean caught? Like some guy was on a flight and he fell asleep in the bathroom for some reason, maybe because he had too much first-class champagne. I don't know. Maybe he took a pill to take the edge off of flying and he passed out in the bathroom during a flight. That's more found in the bathroom or discovered asleep in the bathroom. But then I started reading more of the story. Then I realized, oh, no, he was actually caught because it wasn't the scenario I assumed it was.
Yeah, the headline is misleading on this one. This one really makes you, number one, go, airport security still has some problems.
Yes, it does. A Florida man is facing felony charges after deputies say he snuck onto a parked JetBlue plane at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport and fell asleep in the plane's bathroom. 32-year-old Samuel Prescott Lackey climbed a perimeter fence, entered a secured maintenance area, and boarded an Airbus A320 that was undergoing maintenance. Workers discovered him during a routine inspection early on Sunday morning. Deputies say the incident delayed aircraft operations and cost JetBlue about $2,400. He has been charged with burglary, criminal mischief, and trespassing on critical infrastructure.
I mean, the rest of this is basically homeless people doing homeless shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
yeah.
they, you know what, like they really just want a clean bathroom like the rest of us on a road trip.
Or just a place to sleep and out of the elements, and but they're sneaky bastards. They've
Don't ever underestimate homeless ingenuity.
oh no, they're up
You
there
know,
with potheads as far as
mhm.
yeah.
The saying, necessity is the mother of invention.
Uh-huh.
It's absolutely true when it comes to potheads and homeless people. And sometimes that Venn diagram overlaps. But when you get someone really desperate for something, they will find a way. A homeless person that is trying to find a way out of the elements to get some, peace and quiet, a place to sleep, jumping over a perimeter fence at an international airport and finding your way into a parked jet bathroom sounds pretty good. I mean, there's layers of protection there that you don't have to worry about. Now, I'm traveling right now, and we're in Portland, which has a pretty fair amount of homeless people. And the area we're staying in is known as the Pearl District. So it's not downtown. And there's another area of Portland called Old Town, where I guess I've been told there's more of the homeless shelters over there. So it's worse. But where we are is, 10, 15 blocks or something. So it's close enough to where there is still a fair amount of homeless contingent around here. And it's amazing to see some of their ingenuity. If they don't have a tent, they collect umbrellas to kind of create their own little tinted dome. So it protects them from the elements. Also, they're really, really messy. Not all of them, but some of them are really, really messy, which is truly fascinating to me, because to me, it's sort of like if you're inside your home and you're on your couch, it's not normal to be surrounded by your trash, right? Some of these homeless people, especially one I call Pigpen, who was hanging out by a bench outside the place we're staying here for like 2 days. She just surrounded by her own trash, never picked it up. I'm like, just it's right there. It's one thing if you're homeless and she was a horrific drunk because she was chugging margarita, like bottles of like pre-mixed margarita stuff, just surrounded by trash. When you wake up, just pick that up. I don't. Oh God.
I mean,
like it's one thing to be sleeping on a bench outside because you're homeless, but to be messy on top of it. Come on.
let's see if I can find. If you ever want to see, Google like Austin homeless Barton Creek.
Oh no.
Uh,
Like at the springs.
mm-hmm.
Oh God.
I mean, they absolutely trashed just giant areas. Yeah, because of that thing. It's amazing. They'll pick up trash that they think is useful, but they do not throw it. They will just leave it wherever when they have no use for it anymore. But yeah, I mean, and I have seen plenty of videos from the Pacific Northwest, Portland, a lot of them. Like I said, if you haven't seen them, the David Attenborough AI narrated, like Tweaker Safari, I think is what they call it. Absolutely, first class.
I've seen it with my own eyes without the Attenborough voiceover, so I'd like to see some of that. And it's interesting because there's like this lady that I'm talking about that was sleeping on I'm staring at the bench right now. I'm on the 3rd floor. I can see it. She's not there now, but she's since moved off. But at one point, there were like 3 different responses to her that people would walk by and they'd be worried about her or whatever. There's like a neighborhood response team that in a van came and checked on her. Someone called 911 one night, and I know that because I saw them looking at her. They were on the phone, and then the fire department showed up. Fire department was there for like, I don't know, a minute and a half, and I was like, man, nothing we can do. And then a third was like a neighborhood patrol thing that checked on it. So I mean, there's people checking on them and stuff. So, but it's just
and I like my heart. I hate seeing homeless people. Like my heart hurts for them. Like and especially, I mean, and this sounds bad. I know, but especially like if they have dogs, like they have animals, I am even more like before we had that last freeze in January, I went around and like I tried to give little packages of some food and dog food to these people and hope they found a place to stay.
Yeah.
And we just as a society have done a horrible job. And a lot of it is government. Like Houston is actually doing a great job of homelessness, but what they did is they quit paying all these external groups and they basically said, hey, we're going to have a city department and we're going to take care of this on our own, and have done so quite effectively at about 20% of the cost of everyone else.
Good on them. Yeah, it's such an interesting thing with the homeless thing because yes, homeless people can be very like necessity, mother invention. The ingenuity is really fascinating at times. The survivability and the things that they have to do to just sort of just live. And sometimes, like you, my heart goes out to the homeless. Sometimes it doesn't, because I've known people sometimes that have been homeless and it was basically their choice and certain choices they've made that led them there. Versus some homeless that, and this is a common one I see, is a schizophrenic type. I mean, a lot of the homeless people I see are people walking around having conversations with themselves, and it has nothing to do with anything they've done. It's just an affliction that they've got, and they're just kind of cast out.
I think it still holds true that at least half of homeless people are bipolar schizophrenics that just won't or take their medicine, and they ended up kind of getting lost.
Yeah. But this is an interesting rub when it comes to the homeless, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. You can play a game which is homeless or hippie, because sometimes you can't really tell. And because there's some people that I assumed were not homeless just because they had a Patagonia backpack, but then I've seen them 4 or 5 times nosing through the trash, and I'm like, oh, they actually are homeless. You'll see someone sleeping on a park bench with their head resting on a North Face coat. I swear to God, I was taking the dog for a walk at the park. This was this morning. A guy is on the bench, lying down, got a coat over him, got a blanket over him. He's got a couple of umbrellas. He's surrounded by trash. He is scrolling things on his Apple Watch. It's amazing to see. I saw a guy at the same park last week, homeless, but he was scrolling social media on his phone. It's amazing. So some of them, yeah, my heart goes out to them. Others, I'm like, you just asshole. Yeah. All right. Finally, the tiny wiener update. Michael Phillips, the man who is self-professed to be the man on earth with the tiniest penis, micro penis at 0.38 inches. We followed his story a little bit over the last couple of years. He went public on television, online. He's talked to TMZ. He's talked to morning shows on television. And he finally turned that into a fundraiser to get money for some type of an enlargement procedure for himself. And now that he has raised enough money for it, he initially in his fundraiser said, I need about $6,000 for this enlargement procedure. He raised over twice that amount, something like $13,500, which honestly, I thought, people throw money at really stupid stuff these days. I thought he would have gotten a lot more money than that.
I would have thought anything until I read what he's having done. I would have assumed that a penis enlargement procedure was far more expensive. I mean, a good boob job is going to run you, probably 12 grand these days. So I expected it would be a lot more.
I'm with you. Like for $6,000, what's he going to get? Like, what's the procedure? We talked before, because short of a transplant, what can you really do for that affliction, right? So Michael told TMZ his appointment is scheduled for August 17th with a doctor in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is where he'll get an injection of semi-permanent dermal filler, which will increase the girth of his penis by about 10 to 30%. In his case, that's roughly 0.5 to 1.5 inches, depending on the amount of product used. So for $6,000, he's going to get an injection of some filler that will not increase his length, but his girth by 0.5 inch, maybe up to 1.5 inches.
Which I'm so confused at this. I would have thought, being that, the stat of being the world's smallest penis is 0.38 inches.
Yeah, that's what he's got.
And he, in the story, talks about that he's had doctors now tell him that he just needs to wear Depends because he has problems urinating. I'm guessing because he can't find it, or it's just can't. I don't know. But yeah, you would have thought he was gunning for some length, not width.
I'm with you, man. When it's when it's like, so let me get this straight. You can make it wider but not longer. When you're down there, can you stretch it out a little bit in the procedure? Like, just see what happens.
Makes you just look down at your own and go, hey, good job, buddy.
Yeah, it really does make you appreciate what you have, no matter what it is. As long as it's not that, I'm okay. I am okay.
Yeah, that's I feel like here's the other thing. If you're gonna raise money, shoot for the stars. Don't tell people it's 6,000. I mean, I think that's probably one of the things that where he didn't raise a lot of money. He should have, been saying, yeah, it's going to be a $50,000 procedure.
Well, clearly he's not a big picture guy.
Oh, it's the little steps.
Micro steps.
Dribbles.
Oh. If you like what you heard here today, share it with a friend, and together we can grow the Treehouse Show. Also, give us a follow on social media at Treehouse On Air, and check out our YouTube, youtube.com/@TreeHouseOnAir. We will see you next time right here inside the little treehouse.